looking at how digital transformation affects a company versus how it affects an L&D department, it can be one of two ways. When it comes to how it affects a company, they're looking at everything from their processes, typically to how they interface with their clients. They're really redesigning all of that to go into a digital format. With L&D, and the reason why I said that's one of two things, L&D can either be part of that journey, right, or be forced on that journey. And so when it comes to being part of that journey, it means understanding what the KPIs and the directions and the business outcomes are for the company that they're working for and fitting themselves into it, or they can try and stand alone and be forced along the way. So it's different. With L&D though, I think we can take some of the lessons from the company transformation when they are focused on their clients. If we replace client for our learner, and I don't even like the term learner, it's our audience for lack of a better term. But if we take that same focus, it becomes a very different conversation. I think the fundamental challenge is a lot of times we don't have the skills yet. I find when I do these transformations, it's about a third, a third, a third. And what I mean by that is 1/3 of the team is ready to go and they have some of these skills already, they've been proactive. Second, third, you can upskill them and they understand where they need to go. And then 1/3 are probably not going to go along the journey just because it's not in their DNA or there's not an interest to, and that's totally fine. But when it comes to that second, third, some of the skills that we need to be thinking about are things like data analytics, digital media, how you have to write and design for that, videography, marketing. Marketing is a huge one, and understanding how campaigns are run and how people are nudged into certain behaviors. Performance consulting is a really big one. Because the fundamental thing is we are shifting from courses to resources. We're freeing ourselves from that score and package. And so the skills that we had before to design and those rapid authoring tools aren't necessarily as viable as we go into the future. Likewise, when we move from an LMS to an LXP or whatever we want to call that, we're going to have a whole new set of data that we need to leverage, and it just is simply different. Some of the really good examples, I think right now, are what people are doing with video and also freeing ourselves from SCORM content. A lot of companies that I advise with, we really only keep SCORM for just compliance pieces that we legally have to, we know it's not the best, but that we legally have to track on. And everything else, they're breaking free from that. Everything from podcasts to interactive PDFs, and really creating a digital experience that is akin to the commercial grade experience their audiences are already getting online. So when it comes to the question of whether L&D should have a partnership with IT, definitely so. I think it's actually mission critical. When you think of IT, they do digital transformations and implementations on a daily basis. They know how to plan for them, they know the pitfalls, they know the environment, they know the infrastructure. L&D, a learning professional maybe encounters 2 or 3 of these types of projects in their entire career. So learn from the experts. The other thing too is that IT will be thinking of things that L&D does not have expertise in. I absolutely believe that IT is your best friend that you've never had. That's the expression I like to use. They have that expertise. They will understand inherently what they need to be thinking about and what you need to be concerned about. So get involved with them. They will also too be able to help you with things like testing and understand what that process will look like and how you're going to fit into their timelines and project gaps. So really get them involved even before you start thinking of digital transformation. So when you ask, does a digital plan need to be flexible and evolve? Absolutely. I don't think there's any way that you can't do that. The types of transformations that I see fail are the ones that are 2 years in length, 18 months or 2 years in length, where they're very rigid and it's, serious project planning where they say, by month 3 we will be here, month 6 we'll be here. That just doesn't work now with technology. I'm a big fan of launch once and iterate upon it. And that's where you're going to see the best success. So when it comes to prioritization for an L&D team when they're undergoing a transformation, the first place that L&D needs to start is with the business outcomes. Not their business outcomes, but the company that they are sitting within. What are those priorities? Because that is the ultimate North Star that they want to be headed towards. So that's the first place. The second place I think that L&D needs to think about is doing an honest assessment of where they are and realistically where they can get at a 3, 6, 9, 12-month plan. I also advise L&D functions also to not to be so quick to compare themselves with others. So be realistic about your own journey and where it's going to best serve your business. Just because people are wearing, VR helmets, well, that may not be useful for your organization. So try and be really practical about where you want to go. And then I think the last part also too is to be broad and open in what you're looking at. Don't go after the next shiny thing. Really sit on the floor, go to where the audience works. Understand where they are, and that plan your digital strategy backwards from that. So the key things that I think an L&D team needs to think about in terms of a digital transformation is, one, understanding the business priorities and how you can support those, because that is your primary job. Two, doing an honest and real assessment of the skills gaps of where your team is right now. And that can be brutally hard, but it's something you need to do, because the skills we need to be looking at are things like marketing, data analytics, digital media, videography. All of those pieces need to fit in there. Then, ironically, one of the last things is to think about is platform. There are a lot of different options that you can go with, and you can also do a digital transformation even without a platform and even on your standard LMS. So that's the order that I would go into.